Nei rau te mihi kia koutou katoa nau mai hara mai ki Kirikiri roa. A warm welcome to the mighty Waikato as we bring to you action of the second round of the NZRL National Men's Premiership. And it's Waikato mana lining up against the Akarana Falcons. A beautiful day here for rugby league and the ground in absolutely pristine conditions. It's great to have you along here on Sky Sport. A warm welcome. Nei rau te mihi kia koutou nau mai hara mai. Well, let's have a look at this Akarana Falcons lineup because they come with a crack team who are in good touch after their victory last week in the first round against Counties Manukau. Of course, steering there, Francis Ledger, ton of experience and a real cool head under pressure. Ian Ackland had a superb game at the scrum base last week, and of course a name familiar to us all out of the Richmond Rovers, James Gavitt, is lining up today for the Akarana Falcons. Earlier on, Wailangi Korpu is with us today. Got some thoughts from the coach of the Falcons, Phil Gordon.
Not too much to complain about after last weekend's performance, but what's been the focus in this week's training?
Yeah, no, good start last week considering we had quite a few guys out representing Akarana for the first time. So this week at training we've just gone back to basics and ensuring that we complete our sets and get to our targets and that we're set for each half and sort of try and make sure that we execute them.
Plenty of depth in the Akarana region, bringing some new boys in today. It's been good to have some experience like Api Pewhairangi on the bench.
Yes. Well, actually, we've just had he's been a late withdrawal, Api, but the guy that we bring in, Zenze Inu, is just as experienced as Api, and it's actually really good. Our depth's really been tested this year.
Waikato put up a pretty good performance last week against Canterbury, but what are you expecting from them today?
We never underestimate the Waikato mana coming down here, playing from home in this space on their whenua. Like we know that we're going to have to be really set on our task and discipline in what we do if we were to walk out of this place with a W today.
Good luck today, Coach.
Kia ora. Thank you.
Yeah, Phil Gordon's been such a great contributor to our local league. Well, nei rau te mihi kia koe Wairangi. Great to have the opportunity to call the footy with you today. Interestingly, the Waikato team stayed very late out on the track and only really went in a couple of minutes ago, just prior to kick-off. Obviously, they mean business.
Yeah, tēnā koe Dale, tēnā ra tātou katoa. Yeah, indeed. A little bit of a different lineup as we see. We'll get some thoughts from Maren Haggie as well about this side who comes into this one. A lot more players available to him this week after a pretty fine performance from an under-strength Waikato side who ended up down in Canterbury, and they could have put on a pretty good show, but unfortunately just couldn't come away with the win. But should be a good one.
Keep an eye out too. Jordan Grace is in the mix. Tēnā rangi had a strong game last week, and Tane Paki continues to impress the skipper. Well, earlier we were able to get some thoughts from the coach of Waikato mana, Maren Haggie. Here he is, Maren Haggie, sorry, and here he is with the brother.
Maren, I oke a ururotia koe I te rau I ki heoi auare ake. Hea ngā aronga nui mo tēnei kem?
I tēnei wiki aro aro na mātou ki a mātou rutu. Te toko maha o ngā tāngata kai ia rutu. I tērā wiki I pai ake a te kapa waitaha I a mātou I tērā āhuatanga o te kēmu. Nō reira, ko tētahi o mātou aronga I roto I te wiki, ko te mea, ko te tūmanako, ka kauia tērā ki rungi te papatākoro I tēnei rā. Nō reira, e mōhi ana nei mātou he tino wero kei te haere mai.
Tika, nui ngā panoritanga kai te wātea, e te o ngā kai tākoro, kāri wātea I tērā wiki, nō reira, akene pia ka whai hui a tērā mo koutou?
Ai, tika, ko hoki mai e te hi o ngā tino rangatira o te kapa. Kari a tākoro a Hayden Kārina, te tino kau mātu o te tima, hoi anō, ka hoki mai Mahi Ngā Rangi, ka hoki mai Jordan Grace, ko rāua ngā tino kai tohu o tēnei kēmu.
Kia kaha te rānei, Chief.
Kia ora, mate.
Ai pai rau atu tana kōrero, and nei te wiki o te reo Māori nei rata mi. Nera to me. It's great to see two young men, you and, well, you know,
I
consider you
appreciate you saying that.
consider a young man, and Marin speaking in Te Reo Māori, and you guys go back a long way.
Yeah, been long-time friends, me and Marin. Obviously, he actually still plays as well, Marin, for Ngarawahia Panthers, who did pretty well this year and ended up on the top of the table at the end of the rounds. And he was there just expressing how Waikato will need to work on their defence from last week. They let themselves down towards the back end of the game, and obviously a few new changes as well that we've seen and we have spoken about in terms of the lineup that will take the field today. So a little bit more of the Waikato talent available to him this week, and they've got a big job. He wero nui tā rātou hei whakawā, hei te tuki I te whāngai I te rāne.
Just saw shots there of Eden Axland. He's a real talent, and we've got a whole lot of really good players on show here today. Frigga Rasmussen is looking after the match for the 80 minutes. He'll be assisted there, as you can see, by Matt Whiten and Tony Arnell. Good to have you with us here. A big ask for Waikato, but in the scheme of things, trying to rebuild its own mana after being subsumed somewhat or caught up in the three-way mix that was Waikato Bay. So there's some work to be done here, but there's a lot of confidence down here in Waikato that they have the young players coming through that in the future are going to be able to cut it with your Canterburys and your Akarana and your Counties Manukau squads. But a real test for them today, because Akarana have really set the benchmark in seasons past, and they'll be a tough nut to crack here. Stacked full of talent, 4 debutants in this week, 11 last week for coach Phil Gordon. He's a wonderful contributor, as I mentioned. He's worked really hard over the years, Phil, with the high school scene in Tamaki Makaurau in Auckland. But it's first up with Waikato and the ball as they work it down the right edge. There'll be a feeling out period, as there always is in rugby league, but we'll just have to see how they weather the storm early on. Waikato in possession. It's a nice passing, shuffling it through the back line here as they go to ground. Just a few metres short now of the halfway line. Nicholas Halaleo, the main defender on that play. This is Murray Iti. Hooking today is Matangi Blade Collins Kamuhemu as Waikato opt to send the ball downtown for the first time this afternoon. It's taken in there by Isimioka.
Yeah, good start. Completed set for Waikato. Look, I know that we know how strong Akarana is. You know, having the 2 grand finalists within one side is always going to go a long way, as we see Cortez Tolu there take a hit up. But look, Waikato will come into this after being pretty confident. Like you said, they are in a rebuilding phase, but they've got some good young talent in this competition. It'll be good to see that talent on show today.
So 13 today is Solomon Vasuvalangi. A real talent to the back here. He was good last week. Brody Tamarua in the victory that the Falcons had over Counties Manukau inside enemy territory, but it's already the 5th and final tackle. Ackland's been around a long time. He launches this one high, a real tester at the back, and a decent chase, but it's been knocked on by Akarana. And Rasmussen says we'll come on back here today. An exciting time for rugby league, and of course, last night many of you would have watched on Sky Sport the demolition job that the Eels did on the Canberra Raiders. And of course, midweek, our wider train-on squad for our World Cup campaign was announced. And you've got some pretty handy professional footballers representing NZ across that NRL.
Really, really impressive squad. Yeah, that's an exciting times for New Zealand Rugby League, having such, I suppose, prolific talent within the NRL, taking the field for the Kiwi side in the upcoming World Cup. So really looking forward to that, and also the women as well. So, yeah.
Well, to Wiki o Te Reo Māori, I noticed that half of the 34 Māori players.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Good representation within that side.
Far side of the field, ball down, and we'll have the scrum to be back in. And Matthew White out of the Point Chevalier Pirates, of course, the winners in a tough encounter in the Fox Memorial Final, the pinnacle of club rugby league in Auckland, by 14-12 in a really grueling contest. So understandably, a lot of representatives from the Point Chevalier Pirates in this squad that's representing the Akarana Falcons. For those of you down country, really sort of towards the city, clubs like Richmond, Point Chev, Mount Albert, And springing out to the west, West Counties Manukau now with a squad or regional status here in the championship in their own right as Auckland delivers up the football. It's taken forward by Nick Halolilo from the Richmond Rovers. Another proud club as the Waikato boys swarm him. So centre field 35. The backdoor plays and backing into the tackle. Jordan Grace is in the mix, comes with high regard from his coach, Haggie. Jordan from the Tūranga Waiwai Club, who took out this year's championship against Wairangi's beloved Tani Wharai. Let's stay with the action. I'll give you a little bit more bully about him in a moment. He's had a superb season from all accounts. We're right in front of the posts here, and Akarana, just 5 minutes gone as Auckland shuffles it out. There's Ledge, a beautiful try. That's sensational, and just the way that you want to score them. Jeremiah Potu is in for the first, the Richmond Bulldogs right wing. And the shape that Akarana provided there just caught the sliding defence, unable to get across and cover up in time. And Akarana into the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, shaping, fantastic vision from Eden Ackland. We saw how good he was last week against County side. He set up a lot of plays, scored a couple himself as well. Played the majority of this year over in Manly on a train and trial contract over there, so he learned quite a bit. But he is, you know, he is a tough halfback, and this is a fantastic ball and a great combination with a really experienced centre in Francis Ledger. And you sort of can't give Francis that much space. He's just too good. He knows when to run, he knows when to pass, and this time he puts it on a platter for his winger. So yeah, look, that will probably be their more favoured side, Akarana, because Francis is a weapon there on that right edge. So it's going to be something that the Waikato team will have to take care of throughout this 80 minutes. They've done a pretty good job at defending through this first 5 minutes, but it's going to get tough if they don't number up and don't get their shape right in defence.
Yeah, it's an early wake-up call for them as well, as we see the try scorer making his way back. A little bit of cloud cover coming over here in Kirikiriroa, and a difficult conversion for the back rower, Tamaroa. Ride it with him and then sing the praises of Francis Ledger, who's been just a fantastic contributor to our local league scene. Here we come. Tamaroa doesn't bend it as much as he would have hoped, so the scoreline remains at 4-0. Yeah, back to Francis, of course, took an interest in our broadcasting, and I think he works sometimes at Sky, or certainly used to, editing a lot of our sports clips. So
I think he used to work in production quite a bit. He did a bit of camera stuff and all sorts. At some stages he was trying to get. I'm not too sure whether he's still going down that path, but yeah, no, he did indeed. Look, I'm not too sure if the cameras can get a bit of vision of him at some stage. He's pretty much held together by tape these days, but still got the goods.
I think everyone likes playing with Francis just because of his attitude, and he's a really highly regarded skipper, and really good at marshalling the troops and bringing on young talent, fresh new talent into these representative squads. As I say, a ton of experience and one of the game's good guys. So maybe a bit like you too, because you left the footy field and took an interest in front of the camera, but I note sometimes you're working behind it now, directing stuff, the crowd goes wild and all of that sort of thing as well there, Warangi Kopu.
Yeah, I've always sort of dipped my toes in behind the camera stuff. It's nice to be, I suppose, part of the creative production teams and sort of coming up with different angles, especially in sports. But yeah, I mean, look, I can't be this good looking for too much longer. Let's put it that way down.
No, it's got to fade in time there. There we go, on the boil here, Akarana. So this is where it's so important for Waikato Mana to get really focused, to go hard out and thinking about what this crack team is going to do, because they're just trying to peel them away like you might a mandarin. This time the charging run results in a penalty too, and Rasmussen says too high for me, setting the standards early in the game.
They're doing their best to try and contain them on the ground as Waikato. The speed of the play the ball at the moment is what's creating these penalties.
There's Joseph Price to play the ball. Danger time here for Waikato Mana. They've got to stay in touch as Brody Tamarua gets some attention. Tane Paki comes across the top to put him away. Out to the right, it's Ackland once again. He is very, very hard to contain too. A weaving, darting runner when he's often first receiver. Here's Tamarua on the boil. You just couldn't stop him. He says, well, I fancy my chances from this range. And he just geared up, charged straight forward. And he's in to score beside the post. So ominous signs here early on for Waikato Mana.
Yeah, he's a big, big body. And, Waikato needed to get up in his face and try and cut his momentum down as quickly as possible. But this time, about 2 or 3 metres isn't going to do it. You can see the big man here just didn't get off the line far enough. And Tamarua, he is too big, too strong to try and stop from that close to the line. So, yeah, good try as well, set up by 2 penalties as well. Back-to-back penalties for Akarana. Michael Tilnell just leaving their message there. They're doing okay. They're just going to have to try and stub this momentum a little bit.
Well, they've had no football either, so they've been on D literally for this opening 10 minutes. I think they might have had one set in possession. Other than that, it's been very much dominated by the Big Smoke boys. As we see Tamarua about to convert his own try from close range, it should be pretty straightforward for him. Of course, plenty of experience. Haley from Mahipara up there in the north. Brody, I think he's played plenty of New South Wales Cup rugby league, and he duly collects the 2 points. For Waikato, the main thing is trying to keep a little upbeat. Okay, you've conceded 2 quick tries, and there's quite a nice level of support here for the squad, although they don't open up the stands on the far side of the field. There's quite a few here, and what would we'd be in the western stand here, I guess?
West Eastern Southern stand, I think.
The West Eastern or Southern stand?
Southern East, West, Southern East stand. Yeah.
There's the kick, and it's too deep, so, compounding problems here for Waikato. And that's a coach killer too. Let's have another look. A real fundamental blue, that one. And at the back. Been around a while too, Joseph Price. You might recall him running around, I guess it was in early Warriors days. But, of course, there have been plenty running around in the Warriors over the years. It's tough to see them move on and do well. I was looking at Sean Lane last night. You got Peter Hiku carving them up out there. And, a lot of players that have been in now.
Papali'i.
And Isaiah Papali'i, just to name a few.
Yeah.
Well, there's the first chance, really, with the football here for Waikato Mana. So here's a chance for us to talk a couple of their guys up. Jordan Grace, I was talking about him a few moments ago. Of course, he's led his team, Tūranga Waiwai, to 3 championships in a row. And Wairangi, you were saying that, and Tani Whanau were in the final against them, of course, so whilst disappointing to lose, acknowledging the raft of young players that are coming up through that proud club. No one's been brought to come into the region. There's no overseas talent. These are young guys growing up in Ngāroa Wahi, or that's another fundamental error that they can ill afford. And really, they're just digging a hole for themselves at the moment, Waikato Mana.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, no, pretty crucial error. Like, pretty poor pass there from Mahinga Rangi. But should have caught it. Timo Toinga Te Koi. That one, Timo Toinga Te Koi is he's one of those up-and-coming players as well for Tūranga Waiwai. Has tasted grand final success in the last couple of years. Played in the halves this year. Actually, he's playing up there in centre for this game. But a ton of talent.
Well, Tamarua is going to be like the stuff of nightmares here if they keep allowing him the room to move. This carries from Vasu Valangi, big and strong. He's right in front of the posts here. And Waikato looking as though they could easily concede another try as that comes out the back door into the one. Little dummy to the line and just coming up short. Luckily, as Iso Mioka is pulled up, but the damage is not quite over with, and easy pickings on the far side of the field for Cortez Tolu, who just makes it look easy, and he busts out some funky jive. If I can use that term, it's a pretty old school term.
That's a Dougie, yeah. Just to keep you up to date with the kids, what the kids are doing. That's called a Dougie.
Oh, cut it out. That's it. Well, it was a pretty smooth move from Cortez.
Yeah, well, York almost went over there. Nice little backline play, and then the quick play of the ball, scrambling defence for Waikato. They couldn't get back in time. Who was that on the ground there? That was Bramley, who was still on the ground. There was a hint of a knock on there by Yorker, but Cortez Tolu, he was quick to pounce on that ball from dummy half and dive over for their third.
From the Tatatu Roosters Club out in Auckland's West. And, well, it was good to see him score a try, but really the worry here now is for Waikato, and it's going to be about confidence levels. Okay, they might not have anticipated an upset knocking over this highly fancied Auckland outfit, but they'll be pretty disappointed at the way that they've handled themselves in the opening 15 minutes. Fundamental errors, dropped passes, ball going dead off the kickoff, things that they can control. And when they've had the ball in hand, I mean, early in the tackle count, it's not like it was getting close to the fifth. There's Tamarua again this time from the far side of the field. Be interesting to know what they're talking about in the cluster for Waikato Mana, and as you can see, successful there. So 16 points to nil in quick time. And Coach Phil Gordon will be pretty pleased with the way that they've started.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, on the back of very little ball for the Waikato side, just those fundamental areas that you talk about, Dale. You've got to be pretty, you've got to be pretty perfect up against the Akarana Falcon side, who's stacked with talent.
So the leadership qualities to try and muster some enthusiasm for the mahi. That's what's needed here for Waikato. They're in the right end of the field, and they need to keep Akarana here if they can. Ledger goes to dummy half. Plenty of run on, and here is the opportunity that has eluded Mana thus far in the game. And for the first time, they'll get an opportunity to set a scrum with an attacking set of 6. 15 metres out from the Akarana Falcons line.
They'll be given a couple of chances. Waikato Mana needs to start capitalising. That was definitely a forward pass. Francis Ledger wasn't too sure whether it was going back or front, and he ended up throwing it a couple of metres forward. So he'll be a little bit disappointed about that assess, but I'm sure he'll make up for it at some stage. First opportunity now to see Waikato Mana attack the Akarana Falcons line, see what they've got.
Well, Mahinga Rangi, what wasn't in the squad last week, he'd just had a Pepe with his Wahine Aroha. Congratulations to our young parents, but in his absence, Ken, his younger brother, well, we were just talking about it. Too ambitious early in the tackle count, and again, another fundamental error, and no one to look at or criticise bar themselves. So they are the architects of their own demise at the moment, the Waikato squad, and I'm sure that Marin Haggie will be disappointed. If it could go wrong, it has gone wrong thus far for them here this afternoon. Acknowledging once again the Taurua Steelers, which is where a couple of these young players hail from. Stephen Trangmar, I think, is from out there, or for Katoa. But now they've made another noose for themselves by the looks of things, unless they can get up, and the attacking prowess on the far side of the field is undeniable, and there looks to have been a turnover, and finally Waikato will get the ball. Now they need to hold on to the ball for a set of 6. It sounds straightforward, and sometimes teams are just out of sorts, trying to pop the pass unnecessarily.
Yeah, and look, I suppose that as a forward or an ex-forward myself, Dale, like having 2 scrums and then your back's dropping it on the very first tackle from the scrum, so it's going to be a little bit frustrating for some of these big boys who have to do a lot of tackling around the middle. As we see Tane Paki have a little scoop from dummy half. He actually played in the halves last week. Plays 13 for the Tani Whare club, so he's a versatile player, Tane Paki.
Yeah, and you can see a little bit of fizz in the way he operates. New Zealand Māori representative 2 as the ball comes back and it's sent downtown off the boot of Jordan Grace, angled it to the far side of the touch, and a bit of an opportunity for a breather for Waikato, who have been under the pump and had to do a power of defensive work across the last little while. Well, good to have you here on Sky Sport, bringing you action from the NZRL National Men's Premiership. I'll remind you, too, another good game in store for you tomorrow in Glen, and I think it might be Richie or Monty are heading to Christchurch to bring you the Counties Monaco v Canterbury clash, and there's a could be an Achilles normally when it goes snap, it goes bang like that. So we hope for Cortez that is not the case. Taking the season, they're all young working men, so
yeah, that would
look good.
It'd be horrible if it is an Achilles, but that he pulled up like it was something very similar. You can see there's a sniper in the grandstand and right there. Got him.
Yeah, well, they're finally tuned up there. They train really hard, these young men, and obviously there's not a lot of give. What's the... what other attitude can you take? It's just really hit and miss and a bit of luck at play.
Yeah, a lot of the times. Yeah, obviously Chaz Brown there, featured heavily in the grand final last week as well. A fantastic game for Akarana. He's picked up some rib cartilage injury last week after getting a good little shot, and so tells me he should be right to go for next week. Phil Gordon, his coach, obviously said he's just being a little bit soft this week, so couldn't take the field.
But one thing I like about Chaz Brown's game is he's sort of aggressive. He might be, some might think him a niggly guy, but I just like the way he's, it means he wears his heart on his sleeve and he plays footy like he needs to win. Yeah. And, some people might think that, he's always trying to put a little bit extra in the tackle. But I tell you what, no one played harder in the loss in the Fox Memorial than Chaz, so he's good to watch. Well, that's the end of Cortez Taulu today, and hopefully it's not an Achilles. Dr. Korpu is normally pretty good at long-range assessment, but we wish Cortez well. So it's Akarana have the ball, 21 to play here in the first half, and already 3 tries through Potu, Tamurua and Taulu. Now the work is always done through the middle, and that's where we'll see Akarana attacking here. To his feet, Tamurua. He's had an outstanding first half so far here this afternoon. There's the penalty, which they can ill afford. Wasivalangi ending the penalty as Aidan Akin kicks to the touchline. Good game management, always on the improve too for Aidan. Love watching his footy as once again we see Wasivalangi into the middle. The drag to the ground. Murray Iti out of dummy half, and look at that powerhouse run. Beautiful effort. Right in front of the posts here. Another dangerous situation as Waikato find themselves under the pump on the far side of the field. It's Matty White. He's driven towards touch. Well, that's a good one here. That's a tick in the box for Waikato Mana's defensive effort. The one that they desperately needed, because they could ill afford to concede a try at this stage of the first half, try number 4.
Yes, indeed. Good fend there from Ioka to create a 3-on-2 out that left-hand side, but they got there in numbers, Waikato. They needed to. It was always going to be very hard to stop, was Matthew White. And we see a turnover here.
He's actually looking up through the middle. Murray Iti shuts the door on him.
Strong there from Halalilo.
Here they come again. Akarana issuing another challenge, beautifully delivered too. Just a delicate, soft hand pass, and it's dropped into the arms of Harley Maynard, and really he scooted through for try number 4 without even being touched. Well, again, it's all about field position, and they've allowed themselves to find to be in a vulnerable spot, and they don't need a second invitation here, Akarana.
Yeah, really nice shape once again off the back of a turnover from Waikato Mana. Here we have it again. Tamarua out the back. Nice show.
Yeah, Ioko with lovely soft hands, and Maynard was there to wrap it all up. One thing about the young Ioko boys, both of them from Glenora, and both of them actually through Kelston boys, where Phil Gordon's been such a prominent fixture in recent years as coach, but he really likes their enthusiasm, their commitment, their self-drive, the fitness that they seek in a personal space, not just their training, but also the way that they are adhering to game plans when asked to do things by the coach. As we see number 17 coming on, this is James Gavitt. So problems aplenty still to come for Big James.
You take Vasufulangi off the field, who's been pretty dominant throughout this first 23 minutes, and bring on the likes of James Gavitt onto the field, ex-NRL player. So, I don't know, I think it goes from bad to worse for Waikato Mana.
Well, I know they came in here with hopes of really turning on something special for the fans who've come along to support them. But as it turns out in this first 23 minutes or so, well, they just haven't been able to turn a trick. And as we've already mentioned, they have at times been the architects of their own demise with some poor play and lacking the fundamentals of our game. Maynard once again looking sharp for a 22-0 scoreline. Well, this could be a cricket score. Unless Waikato get hold of some football and do something with it as Gavitt comes galloping. 15 up from the line. To his feet quickly here now. Down the right side they come and angling back onto the inside. This is Potu, hasn't had a lot of football, so goes and demands some from his teammates. Waikato defenders working hard. It's Tamarua is causing them no end of problems here today. It was Vasufulangi, the penalty count against the home team also, so it's compounding their problems. Kick out on the far side of the field. That's Matthew White, puts the fend on, pushes away Taylor Leaf. Into the middle we come again, into that danger area. And it's out to Acton trying to steer the ball through, picking up on Halaleo.
Better defence that time. Set up once again on the left. There's Tamarua. Big strong, shrugs off a couple.
So again, plenty of danger here for Waikato, and it's that simple for them. Well, the crowd's going to get pretty frustrated here. The players are. You might be at home also. Well, it just looks as though this is a David and Goliath battle here for Waikato Mana. Doing it tough. You got a feel for them. Why don't you bring your boots?
No, thank you, Del. Even if I did, I would have thrown them over the fence into the river.
The famous Waikato River.
Yeah, just look, too big, too much possession, too much speed at the moment to play the ball. Just failing to get up and get in the faces. On the back of a penalty pretty late in the tackle count as well. At the moment, Akarana just, look, they're just plenty of kick-off reception practice for those boys, but they know what they need to do, the Waikato side. I think throughout periods they've been doing it pretty well. Unfortunately, just some poor errors, some real basic errors, and then the weight of possession towards Akarana. It's just mean it's just too much for them to try and contain.
So So Brody Tamaroa once again with an easy one here. And what it's not doing for Phil Gordon and what he would have wanted was some sort of test. At the moment it's one-way traffic. And for Waikato, they just don't know which way to turn. I'm not one to bag footballers because it's tough enough to get out there and they're proud as they should be to represent. But at the moment, as I say, one team's playing at one level, the other at a vastly different level here. And hope springs eternal. If they can get hold of some football and do something, might just lift their spirits a little bit, but they'd be pretty dejected, you'd have to think. We're all human. You look up at the scoreboard at 28-0 with 13 to play in the first half. Thinking, gee, I hope that somebody invokes a mercy law here this afternoon.
Yeah, well, they've barely completed a set in the last 20 minutes. And that's always going to make things tough.
Just getting back to, Phil Gordon wants some tough competition. They had it last week against Counties Monaco. Of course, we've got the Canterburyans who are always bold, always tough. They've had so much ball here. We haven't got a possession stat, but you'd have to think it's around 70%. At the moment, Tamaroa has just been an absolute thorn in the side for Go to Woe. Here he is playing the ball too as it comes to Ackland. Might we see some magic from him? Cutting back on the inside, Halalilo. Downstairs on the tackle, desperate and troublesome. Here we go again, down the left edge this time. Akarana are running riots, and finally Waikato do come up with the football 15 from their own line, and they haven't had it for ages. They'll have to introduce themselves to it and say, what are you? Football's with them now, 20 metres out from their own line. And that one nearly went down also for Rex Sullivan. On the 30. And opting to kick downtown Tane Paki.
Oh, he's a couple of metres short there, but that would have been a 40-20. Would have helped a lot if they could have picked up that one. That was the third tackle. So
I was saying, they need to reintroduce themselves to the leather. I mean, yeah, it might have been nice 40-20, but I think that they also need to get that ball in hand, and might have been good if it had got there, but now what? You're just back on your defensive line.
Yeah, and gone are the days now where that's a scrum and they get a little bit of a break and an opportunity to try and gather themselves and defend down this end. Now it's a straight turnover and then more defence on the way. So yeah, I agree with you, Dal. Need to try and hold on to that ball a little bit, just put a little bit more pressure on Akarana. It's not like they're going to get tired by turning themselves around from those kicks and working themselves out of their own half again, as we see Tamarua.
And back on the inside. Well, this is what can only be described as a romp at the moment. And then the score is Vasu Halangi. And it's just looking so easy. And as I say, it's difficult to commentate, especially when both Halangi and myself have got whakapapa lines here into the Waikato. We're pretty proud of our peeps down here at Te Ranga Waiwai and through Lahui Pōkeka. Hard to watch, I suppose, for a brother from down from in the hood there, why?
Yeah, indeed. And I blame one of my good friends, Harley Rai here, who's one of the assistant coach for the Waikato Mana side. Terrible coach. He was the one who called a lot of decisions last week in the back half of the Canterbury game and cost them the game. So yeah, just look, 32 points. I'm pretty much blaming that all on Harley Rai.
Well, I don't want to blame anybody. Just it might illustrate perhaps the gulf that we can see in regional competitions as against the big city boys. They've got plenty of top players, good talent to choose from. Quite the same here, where you've got a cluster of teams making up the men's competition. I think it's probably only half a dozen now, and under pressure. And so results like this don't exactly help in that regard. Now, there's no one we can blame here because the NZRL are trying to get some regional competitions to their credit, so that players who play club footy have got a chance to proudly represent their rohe or their region. But when you see scorelines like this, it's just a reminder that there's a huge gulf between the quality of the competitions.
Yeah, big gap. And I suppose, last week the Waikato side, they had a few out with different events on throughout the Waikato that meant the players couldn't attend, but then that's another weekend for a lot of these boys who represent Tūrangawaewae and Ngarawa here. They haven't played rugby league in 4 or 5 weeks. So it is a what do you call it? An introduction by fire.
Yeah, baptism
by fire coming up against an Akarana side stacked with talent. So, look, we hope that they're more competitive over the remainder of this competition. I'm sure they will be. We've still got another half of football here to compete with.
Yeah, well, we can ill afford to have a 3-figure victory. That's what I'm scared of here today, because Akarana, just as demoralised as the Waikato team may be, Akarana are starting to really throw the ball around with reckless abandon. And anything can happen. Let's hope they're able to contain them in the last 7 minutes here of the first half. But somehow I don't think that they will be able to. The home team, Waikato again under the pump as Vasu Valangi takes them through to the halfway line. And is that a knock-on?
Yeah, poor play the ball there. Vasu Valangi, he recognised it straight away. And while we're talking connections, congratulations to my godson who's out there. He is in number 9. He's dummy half. Gets his first game for Akarana Falcons this week. It's Taurihi Maipi's boy.
Yeah, how awesome. And, Taurihi, you and Jade, you'll be really proud to see the young fellow out there. We've been talking up his rugby league game for the last decade, maybe even more.
Yeah.
As a proud dad, talks of his son's involvement in this great game. So, while we're acknowledging mum and dad, like you, mate, hats off to him in his debut. To Jody Maipi, Lahui Pōkeka. Where all the cool cats come from. Here we go. This time, Waikato needing to show some of the mana that the name suggests. At the moment, they've been just outgassed, outgunned. It's like turning up to a gunfight with a water pistol. But here they go now. A chance to redeem somewhat. Steve Trangmar has the ball on the 20-metre line. Trying to get a mistake-free set as Paki delivers up. Billy Gudgeon with the ball and then manhandled. Centre field. 15 out for the line. Waikato need to be a little creative here as Mahingarangi gets the football. And then the end goal, and that looks good. I think he got there. Viggo Rasmussen will check with linesman Watane. He says that's okay. I think it got there. So some perseverance pays off here for the home team. It's been a long time coming, and they'll get a rousing round of support too from the audience.
Yeah, great recognition from Rex Sutherland there. Went down that blind side, was looking for Tumatonga Tukoi, saw Francis Ledger come flying out of the line. I think it was Potu who slipped over as well, so Whakatoa went straight through, managed to get it down just before it went dead. Great awareness. Yeah, good to see them post some points.
No, I'm pleased for him too. Aholele Whakatoa is a winger out of the Tahuroa squad, Tahuroa Steelers. So finally something to cheer about. And I hope you haven't found our references too dismissive, because men are trying, but things just haven't been working collectively. I'm not pointing the finger at any particular player.
And look, I mean, the 30-point difference, I'm fairly optimistic that this side can be competitive over the coming weeks. I think they've, like I said earlier, they have showed signs of I suppose the strength that they have as a team. But unfortunately, just coming up against a very strong opposition, and also, I suppose, not having played together for a long time, not having played any rugby league for a long time, and then compounding basic errors have sort of cost them in this first half. I'm sure they can't wait to get in the sheds and reassess and come out and have a good crack in the second 40.
From wide out, makes this one look good, stares it through. So Rex Sullivan on song for kicking team. 34 points to 6. We find ourselves with 4 to play here in the first half. You're watching Sky Sport, and great to have you with us here this Saturday afternoon. This is the NZRL National Men's Premiership, round 2. And a big day of rugby league, of course, with the Rabbitohs. And, of course, the Cronulla Sharks coming your way later in the afternoon. There's an image of Aaron Haggie. He'll be disappointed because a lot of the points have come off the back of Waikato and their own errors. But this time perhaps a little bit of a lift in spirits here as Portman Paul takes the ball to the 30-metre line. Down the right side they come this time. Drop off back into the traffic on the inside.
So as you mentioned, the NRL this afternoon, there is real Māori commentary for a couple of the games, in particular the NPC, which is the Hawke's Bay versus Wellington game, which is a Ranfurly Shield match. Myself, Tumamau, Harawira, and also Te Ao Pewhairangi calling that one. And then the NRL, which is that semi that you talk about. That'll be the real Māori commentary as well. So options there for people to listen to our reo rangatira if they want to.
Yeah, and hats off to Sky Sport for supporting Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori in such a way. I like a couple of those callers. Not sure about the other one.
Oh, no, I won't tell Tumamau Harawira that you said that.
That's all right too, don't worry about it. I guess that there's a little knock on. So let's see as we pack the scrum down here. Not standing straight.
Yeah, marker's just not square. Very quick play of the ball there from Ioka. That's Isom, the fullback. He's got pretty sure that's his brother. He's playing on the wing.
Yeah, they are. They're brothers. Yep. 2 minutes of play here. 34 points to 6. With tries there from Pochu, Tamarua, Taunu, Maynard, and then a couple at the back there from Vasavalangi. So Phil Gordon will be wrapped with what's going on here, although, as mentioned, maybe disappointed that there wasn't a tougher run through that first 40. We'll just see if Waikato can regroup themselves as Tamarua gets it for Ackland. Now to Ledger. Francis. That's better D2, more commitment as well from Alpha Katoa on the Akarana captain. Gavitt just outside the 20. Tamarua terrorising his opponents here today and using a good fend. Rubber kick on the far side of the field. The bounce is sweet this time around. Everything is coming up gold today for Akarana as Matthew White gets the bounce. It couldn't have been any better for him. But I guess you got to make your luck out wide, and the rubber kick was smart. And of course, pulled off effectively right on song as we see Tamarua.
Yeah, Tamarua is just he's the big kid out there, just
beast, isn't he?
throwing people around. And look, the grubber kick, Waikato want to put themselves in a good position there. So that's Mataki Matthews on that right hand side. It wasn't the greatest accuracy in terms of a grubber, but the bounce was freakish, and so Matthew White picks up that ball and crosses over for another try for Akarana. They'll be pretty happy. They should be fairly happy with that defensive effort. Waikato mana, a little bit of luck went Akarana's way in that set, but they'll finish the half here after this kick. Almost 40 points up.
Well, hats off to you too. I think reading it in such a way is important too. As we await Tamarua, and while he deserves a rest, he's been in everything today. You know, he's like the oversized kid in the playground, isn't he? Tamarua is just having a whale of a time out there.
Yeah, it looks like he's having fun.
Nice little rubber kick steered through from Kelly Aioka. As we look for the extras, 38 points to 6. And I think we'll be over for the first half after this conversion attempt. 10 from the far side of the field. Will it raise the flags? It duly does, and that'll be it for half-time. A stunning first-half effort by a team, perhaps the favourites for the competition at this stage. 40 points to 6 at half-time. It's Akarana against Waikato Back for the try highlights in a moment. You're watching Sky Sport. And kia ora no, welcome back here to Kirikiriroa. Beautiful stadium, this FMG Stadium. Not so beautiful though for the Waikato Mana boys, who are looking at a huge scoreline, 42-6. Well, you know what? It's a new and fresh start for another 40s. We see the youngsters here proudly in the Waikato colours. I'm sure that Marin Hagi would have said, forget about the scoreline, guys. Let's just get out there and do what we can do. But they were sort of blown out of the water in that first half of hugely dominant performance by a real talented Akarana Falcons. Ko Dale husband tēnei, kia ora watu e homa, whakarongo. And it's great to have you here in Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori. Tēnā koe e wairangi kōrero mai anō o whakaro o Te Keimu.
Yeah, it's still get there. Tua tangata Nate Francis Ledger leading his side back out onto the field once again. It's, yeah, look, I'm sure the message from Marn would have been, look, take away those small little errors that we did in that first half, and we give ourselves half a chance of defending some of these tries from Akarana. So, like we said, weight of possession to Akarana in that first half, and it's probably why we had the score line that we do. It blew out a little bit because of it, but like if they can get a little bit of possession, hold on to the ball and complete some sets, they'll give themselves a good opportunity to post in some more points.
You were down there on the track there, the wind factor hardly relevant here, I suspect. So it's Tumatau and Himmelpo Tekoi who gets us underway. And of course, Waikato running in their second half, left to right from our commentary position, and getting in quickly to get himself involved is Jordan Grace, with assistance there from Te Whana Bramley. They're really hopeful for the home team that they can just get away to a better start. I think they were demoralised by about the 15-minute mark when it was already 16-0, and then the tries just kept coming, and as such things were going wrong for them. So important that they try and get underway to a better start here. And here's a man who really caused them a lot of problems as he gets to his feet. It's Tamaroa, and now on the run comes Halalilo. Just outside the 30-metre line here, as mentioned, big ups to the ground staff here. The track's in fantastic condition. Always a thinking footballer as Aidan Ackland gets hold of the ball. It's off for Katoa on the far side, our only try scorer for the home team. A lot of the forwards there slow to get back into position, and pretty easy pickings. At the moment, the one-off running offered up by Waikato need to be just a little bit more in sync with each other, making a bit of cohesion here on the attack, and pretty predictable one-out running, which is easily countered by the Boys in Blues defence.
You could run there from Jaden White, usually a hooker playing in the middle at the moment, but we're probably sharing that role with Tane Paki, but look, they're just going to have to weather a little bit of the storm here. And like I say, if they can complete some sets and get a kick away, try and defend as best as possible, they'll start building some confidence and also putting a little bit more pressure on to Akarana, who have had really no pressure whatsoever in the first half.
Excellent. Now that's the way to run well football. That's the power that you need too on show. Jeremiah Potu. Oh, plenty to like about his attitude on display here. Careering downfield. Easy 25 metres for him on the run. So if they need any inspiration, they don't really have to look far, do they? As Lewis Susumia gets up to play the ball, and that'll be a penalty as well right in front of the posts. No point of taking the 2 points. So they'll just set themselves out here to the left-hand side. Let's have another look at this powerful shot to his Potu. Really shows how it's done. Eventually shut down by his opposites in Ngataki Matthews. But really Akarana here starting off where they left off as the number 9 tries to work his way across. It's Maipi. Excellent to Gavitt. Big James held up almost for a moment. Thought he might have popped the pass. Lakes, and that's how easy it is. That's how it's done. So really toying here with the home team, and once again, it's Vasualangi having an outstanding hit out. Vasualangi, what a talent he is.
Is that 3? I'm pretty sure that's 3 for Vasualangi. He's playing prop. today. That's a hat trick for a prop, which is a fantastic. But they're playing, look, they're playing big boy footy at the moment. They're just muscling their way over Waikato mana. But unfortunately for Waikato mana, it's not just the forwards who are big and strong. As we saw the run from Botu before, he's just as big as a prop. The Sun, look, why go away from what's working for you? And Akarana Falcons just, those big boys are laying the platform up the middle. And as soon as they get too close to the line, they're just too big, too strong. There's too much momentum on their side for Waikato to stop.
Yeah, and we still have to acknowledge the attacking prowess. Yes, there have been some defensive lapses, but sort of outgunned for size too. It looks as if Gavitz, who's a very imposing figure, Tamarua can throw it over from there, and it will take it out to 46.26. And again, not the way that you'd like to start the second half with that surging run from Potu, and then close range and pretty straightforward finish off as well in the end for Vasuvalangi. Had a good season, did Vasuvalangi, playing for the Glenora Bears. And Solomon was an integral part of their success, even though they didn't get the big prize on the last dance. Check out the number 4 coming in for the kickoff once again. Tutukoi. Left footer with it on the halfway, and it's taken easily. So, we might be a little disappointed sometimes in the defensive effort. Just marvelling some of the attacking prowess we're witnessing here today as Vasuvalangi gets to his feet again on the run. Maipi is wrapped up. Kenarangi in there in the mix now. That's him in jersey number 14. He'll go downstairs on the tackle there as Trang Ma, who goes across the top. Maipi to Ackland, and now out to Francis Ledger. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities, Francis. The ball hasn't come his way a lot. His teammates have been making inroads, and so they haven't had to call on the super experienced captain, as we see once again the darting and weaving skills of Aidan Ackland, and he decides to leave the ball behind. The chip for the regather doesn't come up in his favour, and again it's Ufa Katoa at the back, who rescues things for Waikato. Well, you can understand why they're just a little bit downhearted at the moment, and therefore not spread deep and wide and getting themselves set for a charge. Down midway 20 and 30 here, Waikato. This one-off running is easily accounted for this time around. It's Ngataki Matthews. Whilst Willing, never really going to cause problems here. There's Gavin out wide too, picking up on Trangmar. Stephen will appreciate having gone head-to-head with a guy who, as you say, mates, played in Britain and also in the NRL. Coming out of the Tahoe Steelers at the south of Kawhia, on the headland south of Kawhia, you'd be pretty pleased.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, this is a good experience for all of these players as well. A lot of these Akarana boys have, not just played in the Fox Memorial, but play at higher levels as well, different representative sides. And, you look at the likes of Francis Ledger, captain for the Point Chief Pirates, but he's played in so many teams, as we see. Read well, just couldn't hold on to it. Jordan Grace there, he picked this up. It would have been a nice pass. Jordan.
Well, the squad that came out through the week too, featuring some absolutely fantastic players. Interesting to see Sebastian Chris from the Canberra Raiders in that wider squad. It's going to be a heck of a challenge for the New Zealand Kiwis when they do go across. The game's due in only a month or so, a big challenge for Madge to get our guys in with a chance to go all the way. But certainly when you look at the team on paper or the quality that New Zealand selectors have to choose from. We'll have to give ourselves a fighter's chance, that's for sure, as we see an angled run this time around for So'osumia. He's on the 30-metre line here. Might be to dummy half. Here he is. Super troublemaker at the moment, Tamaroa. On the 20. Akarana threatening, has always, as Maipi throws a dummy, weaves away from one and looks to head towards the try line before he's wrapped up in the tackle of Mahingarangi. Out the back, and there's an intercept. We'll have to see if there's legs enough. I suspect not.
It's a tiny pucky.
Yeah, the crowd liked it as well. So I wonder if there's some genuine speed on the outside. And here's another follow-up penalty for being inside the 10. Referee Rasmussen says, come on, boys, back it up. Let's begin another look. So Jen Macklin holds it for a moment. He's lining up Gavitt. Could have been a real problem again. Numerous issues that Waikato have had to encounter, or have encountered here this afternoon. And there's another one of those fundamental errors. Turns the momentum directly around. And exactly what you wouldn't want to happen after receiving the penalty and some decent field position after being under the pump for so long and not kicking for touch. Now it's just an absolute crime, and teammates, staff, admin will be frustrated as hell as we see Maipi once again swung to ground 40 metres out right in front of the posts, but slow to his feet this time around. Over the far side we come. Short side run, that's Ledger showing his experience, and as simple as that as he again sets it up on the far side for Jeremiah Potu. Well, there's no substitute for experience, as the saying goes, and he spied an opportunity, Francis Ledger. Thought, let's replicate what we did in the opening try all that time ago. That was in the first 5 minutes. It's as simple as that. Maybe a hint of a forward pass, but the referee was there. He says, but I'm okay with that. And there it is, sort of just exploded out of dummy half, and Pochu, super talented, going with him.
Yeah, you got their pants pulled down there. Tumatonga Tukoi and Mainorangi. Just that dummy half, not paying attention. Little show and go down the short side. Francis Ledger, he's too good. He's got all the tricks up his sleeve. Francis Ledger just linked up with his winger. He crosses for another one. He's been fantastic as well today, Botu. Every time he's come in, he's a big man. I think that's his second.
Yeah, it sure is, and exactly a repeat, really. It was delivered on a plate for him by the skipper, Ledger, down the right edge. And that was the try that was scored in the first moment. Again, you know, you've got to take some responsibility too. You know, Waikato can't just say, woe is me, because, well, the ball needed to be kicked to touch. It was pretty straightforward. It's not like it was a deep touch finder. And look what happened in the turnaround. Now over the half-century mark, and no one likes to have 50 scored against you, that's for sure. Can you recall a time yourself?
I can't remember it, but they say you do suppress painful memories.
Well, of course you would.
Yeah.
From out wide, Tamarua. And up go the flags yet again. Admittedly off the cow horns, but even so, I'm pleased you could join us here, but if you're a Waikato supporter, you won't be very pleased, will you? Because as you can see, the scoreline at 52-6 means it's been a real tough day for the boys. The boys in black here from down to this proud region.
Plenty of practice today, Tamarua.
Absolutely has.
It's one of those big kicks again.
Oh, got that right, but it's sort of dicey with death, were they, once again? And you'd have to think, and there's a knock on the crowd, enjoy that.
Oh, that was comedic.
I reckon so too.
I suppose that's probably the first time Vasivalangi has passed a little bit of a hit up there, and he's probably his passing license has been revoked. It was miles behind his standoff in Yorker, and then a compounding error, the little knock on. There it is once again.
So Samir finds himself in the difficult situation of trying to clean up the mess. So now from close range, as Jordan Grace gets a chance. They haven't been in this sort of position for what feels like a long, long time. Rangi popping the pass to Sullivan, who comes in, crawling his way towards the line. He's 6 or 7 metres away now. Down the left side again, it's Rangi, straightens. But the door shuts quickly from Akarana, in particular there from Gavitt, and downstairs from Halalito. Paki keeping it alive out there. Grace. Swarming defence, sorts Grace out. Might be slow to his feet. He'll be getting a bit of ribbing as well, might be, I guess. Hailing from Huntley. A few of his cousins will be giving him a bit. 10 out from the line here. If you, like me, are hoping that Waikato will be able to get across the line, we're in the same waka. 12 metres out from the try line. It's a good Kiwi trait, always supporting the underdogs, and certainly Waikato are that, as we see the kick into the end goal. Just a little bit too stiff. And whilst a committed chase ensued, it wasn't enough to get the try. And it'll be back now for the restart. And Akarana ball trying to thread the needle. Jordan Grace, and on the chase, Ngataki Matthews bravely diving at the football. But Akarana have it centre field 35.
Yeah, not enough questions asked of the defensive line there by Waikato. They're trying their best. And some individuals standing up to try and do some damage here, but real tough going against the side like Akarana, who has had to do minimal defence down on their own try line.
Yeah, I like the way that Maipi is running today.
Gets all his talent from his mum's side.
Jody Head. I don't know about that. Well, good on you, Jade, if that's the story, but he's good at a lot of things.
Just not rugby league.
Here we come to set the scrum, and it will be a Waikato scrum feed too. So 22 metres out from the try line. Again, reminded you, tomorrow afternoon, it will be Counties Monaco lining up against Canterbury. That's 1 o'clock kick-off from the wonderful new sports facility in Ototaki. Glenn Lama doing the lead call there. One of life's good guys, and again, to just again paying tribute to our Sky colleagues and broadcasters with the loss of Willie Losset. I'm sure still we'll find out more about when he might end up back home in the inside oil.
Kau, hei, tautoko o koro e hoa ma te ngarohanga nui o Willie, i mai rā e hoa.
Trying to go with a bit of a hold shot too. He had a runner on his right-hand side, wasn't able to pick him up. Murray Itzi was there making himself available. Here comes Waikato. That's a bit of run. Taylor Leaf gets hold of the ball in some space. Then a nice little offload. Oh, that's the best that we've seen from Waikato as far as inventive play is concerned. But again, they sadly come up empty-handed. And 12 metres out from the try line, it's Gavitt who gets hold of the football. But there was a nice little interchange and interplay, some skillful offloading.
Yeah, set up by a beautiful run there from Kinarangi. A little show and go up the middle and created some space and got Akarana backpedaling on the back of it. Good quick play the ball. But you're right. Some nice ball handling skills as we see Akarana now stretching the Waikato mana defence.
A crash to the ground that time around. Aidan Ackland with the ball down the right side. They come. And again, when this man gets hold of the pilt, it can always be troublesome over the top. Harbour Bridge ball, and the man who scored 2 already on the right edge, as Pochu, is to ground. Might be quick to get into his spot as distributor. Acting half, and there's a big chase. The ball's gone down, and it's a knock on here for the home team, and he's disappointed with himself, Rex Sullivan. It will be a scrum feed here for Akarana on the 10-metre line. Let's get another look at Rex under pressure here. But hear the footsteps in the corridor, couldn't he?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. He did pretty well to get himself in a good position, just unlucky. He thought it might have gone backwards as well, but more pressure coming up here for the Waikato Mana side. I don't blame him. Yeah, you've got a couple of big boys, in particular Tamarua, breathing down your neck. I quite like a little bit of luck, a little breath down my neck every now and again.
Yes, well, I understand what you're suggesting, but we won't go there just right now here, Mr. Kopu, as we find ourselves 5 metres out from the line. And Akarana, 52 points to 6. Waikato now having to confront Tamarua. Has this guy got 3 legs or something? Because he just seems to be gassing it at them, and there's a charge for the line and held up. But not for long, I wouldn't think. And there is perhaps his first try in regional competition. Congratulations to him, to Tauru Maipi. I think your old man ought to give you $100 for that, being your first try in the Akarana colours.
Yeah, his godfather might have to chuck in some money as well. That's me, as we see Tauru come off. He scored his try, he's coming straight off the field. So one and done. Once again, just flat-footed, too close to the line. Kinarangi there just caught off guard, a bit too quick for him, being aware. Akarana crossover for another one. And they put up a pretty good fight in the last 10-15 minutes, have Waikato, but it's hard to withstand the amount of pressure that they've had.
You're quite right, it's been 10 minutes since the last try. Might be there going in with what are disappointing tries for coaches. Fairly predictable from close range, but they like picking them off like that. The number 9s or acting 9s. He has come from the field, and that brings Matangi, Blade, Collins, Kamuhemu. Most calling him Blade, from what I can gather.
He's got 2 hyphenated names. Matangi, Blade, Collins, Kamuhemu.
Yeah.
Not often you see a hyphenated first name and then a hyphenated last name.
No, not at all. And of course, pre-European in the Māori world, it would have been 4 blokes.
Yeah.
So we had one name, didn't we? Back in the day.
I mean, we need to go back to times when we just had one name.
What would
you think of a lot of your tupuna, they only had one name.
Yeah, that's true enough. If you were to choose your own one name, what would it be?
Oh, wait.
Huh?
What, out of any name?
Out of any name you could ever choose for yourself.
Oh. Don Juan?
I don't know what
comes with a reputation, that name.
I don't know what I'd like to, what name I'd come up with.
Rako Roa.
No, Rako Roa? I don't know about that. It seems like 2 names, but what about Infallible? Oh, Infallible one. Well, there's been a few faults out here today, but also hats off to those who played so strong. One of them just received the football. Tamarua has been absolutely great out there today. He's a guy of genuine size, got beautiful footwork, hits the line, drives as well, picks up post-contact meters almost effortlessly. And this man too, coming in from the far side, has created plenty of problems. So there's no shortage of accolades for the Falcons squad, and of course they will be there or thereabouts come finals time. And what we do note is that with the exposure to such top talent, we'd expect the Waikato team to also improve. So it's not all doom and gloom for them, as Wise touched on, or Rako Nui as he'd rather be called. And it's just at the moment a bit of a learning experience for the home team.
Yeah, indeed. And like I say, that there was an understrength side last week who did their best against the Canterbury team, and then got new players out there who are playing football for the first time in 4 or 5 weeks, and so I dare say they will be better for the run. And Oh, look, yeah, it was always going to be hard to knock back a very strong Akarana side who did a job on counties last week. Like you say, some of the individuals out here today have been fantastic. Tamaru in particular. I think, look, is that him getting back now to cover the ball? Is he on the wing now? I saw him get a dummy half before. And the most surprising thing for me is that, he probably hasn't had to do a lot of tackles, but, geez, he doesn't look like he's got tired at all in this game. And he's playing in the middle.
Well, I have to change his name from Tamaru to Tamaiwa because he's a bit like 9 blokes, isn't he?
Yeah. He comes on running the water as well to his teammates. And, he's a special player.
16 to play still, and it's Francis Ledger who will get his opportunity in a moment. Well, it looked like a spectacular defensive effort to Gavitt, to Ackland, and then coming in from the back, Yorker on the far side. Just so full of confidence at the moment. They can do no wrong. Halalilo gets hold of the ball. He's driven to ground eventually too, and a good tackle by Ken Arangi. He's a game killer. I'll give him that. Down the right side they go, and there's numbers out there, and there it is, making it look real easy. Real easy out wide too. Akarana. Well, they're just going boom, to the boom, to the boom, boom, boom. And it's really starting to become like a very predictable rhythmic pattern on the far side of the field.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing. That was the last tackle as well. They just were short on that blind side, standing back waiting for the kick and couldn't get up in time. So you see, look, a little bit concerning for Akarana. Eden Ackland in the background looked like he came out of one of those tackles holding his shoulder like he might have dislocated it or subluxed it. Let's see how he goes. I'm sure they'll be looking to pull him off the field and give him a little bit of a break.
That's Inu with a chance to contribute. A great campaigner. He's given a lot to out wide. Inu. He's still with Tatatu. If my memory serves me correctly.
Well, that rest didn't last long, did it?
So Francis is coming off. I think you given Eden Ackland a bit of a spell too. Big ups to this folks. And connections, John and Marie. Such stalwarts of the Lions Club too. You see Ledger making his way back on. Not in shot at the moment. We've got his Tamaru again. The everywhere guy. He's been amazing today. Already 62. Will you get older? Losing my hair. Will you still need me? Will you still feed me if I'm 64? Here we go, having a look. Now you're going to have to sing the song.
I can't remember the tune.
Yes, you can. If you stay out till 2:45, will you lock the door? It's an old Beatles song. You're too young for that one.
No, I remember it. I just I can't remember the tune.
When I'm 64, it's an old tune, mate. Yeah. And it's 64 points to 6. 13 to play. Round 2 of the Premiership. Timing for it out wide, Matthew White playing on, says referee Rasmussen. The Waikato supporters argue the toss. Who cares? He says up the middle. That's may have called it. Collins Kamuhina is with the football here. Well, a lot of these Waikato players, I think, would have pressed the record function on their Sky remote when they left home. But when they get home, I wouldn't be surprised if they press the delete button.
Yeah. Some of it will be hard watching. There has been, like I said, has been some good efforts amongst it.
Yeah.
But Akarana has been they're a very, very strong side. They're always going to be hard to contain.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that as we see the kick-off here. Contesting the football. Almost getting in each other's way. Jordan Grace was on the climb.
There's a little offload here, Yorker. Right, I just loose carry in the end. Yeah, I think they'll want to fast forward through some of those basic errors that they saw in the first half. A couple of the other things like not kicking it out, not kicking it to touch. A little show and go from Francis Ledger down the short side. Those little things will be hard to watch as you see another little error there.
A bit of an unforced error, but the pressure was always on. That maybe just trying to do something out of the ordinary. Now, Wairangi, as mentioned, and is it Api Whairangi doing the call with you?
Apirangi, yeah, Apirangi. Sorry, Te Ao Whairangi, his brother. And also Tumau Harawira.
He's a long time, terrific commentator as well. One of the lots of good guys, proud as from the Hokianga. Long time Māori broadcaster to Mamau Harawira. And Api Whairangi was, well, he's in this squad, isn't he?
Yeah, he was supposed to run today off the bench.
But he's, I don't know that he travelled, Api.
He was
Did you see him downstairs?
No, he was a late scratching, Phil said.
Of course, Api's played NRL footy as well for the Parramatta Eels.
Yep.
And, gee, they were fantastic last night, but he's come back and just really thrown himself into the local club scene. Api, big ups to him, and, he's one of our strong advocates, as Wairangi is, for Aoreo, and being Māori Language Week. Nice to know that Tao, Api's bro, is going to be in there with these two seasoned broadcasters, and well, they're all three seasoned broadcasters actually when I think about it, but that option available to you this afternoon on Sky TV or Sky Sport. You can watch Ranfurly Shield and of course the other preliminary final for the NRL, which should be an absolute cracker. It's South Sydney against the Sharks. It's all coming up this hour here on Sky Sport as we see Akarana, and in the spinning effort trying to sneak one there, Blade Collins, Kumuhemu. I think we'll see another try here coming up shortly as they punch the ball out to the wide open spaces. Karea Ioka has been very, very good here this afternoon. That bounce is favourable for Po too. I reckon some of these Auckland boys or the Akarana boys better go out and get themselves a lotto ticket, because things have been going up trumps for them all through the course of the afternoon.
Yeah, great skill there though from Po to pick that ball up off the bounce. Is really good effort from the winger who picks up his third for the day. Here's the offload that went straight to a Akarana Falcons player. Put them in this position once again. They almost went over a couple of times, just like long ball. Bounced straight to the hands of Po too. Did a great job to collect that off his knees. Yep. Whakatoa, tough one to stop. Yeah, like you said, just going back on Api Whairangi, he obviously didn't turn out here today for Akarana, who they played for Te Atatu this year, but also, don't forget, he also played international for Ireland with his Irish connections. And lately as well, I've seen him running around for Ngāti Pro East Coast Rugby, so he's playing heartland football at the moment, so he's all over the place. And, I mean, like you say, the good thing is as well is that he's doing his best to revive our reo, especially amongst our sporting players at the moment. He's holding online reo lessons for some of our rugby league players and the Warriors, and some of the boys like Waikato France are included in those reo lessons as well. So it's great to see that some of our athletes are really keen on re-establishing their reo.
It's a really good point to make too, and you'll notice a lot of our athletes, captains of teams, whether it's reo Māori or whatever other reo they might be familiar with, responding initially at the end of games, at the post-match interviews, in Te Reo Hamor, Te Reo Tonga, Te Reo Māori, and it's a nice side of New Zealand society that's reflected in our post-match interviews and the like, because we really should be celebrating diversity and culture and, you know, the way our country has adopted different languages. It all comes into a healthy mix and, of course, makes up for the interesting fabric of our society here in Aotearoa. So there's that option obviously available to you this afternoon and evening. 68 points to 6. Well, the tries have come thick and fast, as the small line implies. 6 tries in that first half, and we're not done with here too. A little grubber kick through, and Waikato do survive that raid or that onslaught with a chase back there from Himapute. 15 from his line. He looks across to some of his teammates, and really they're on the go slow at the moment, and quite understandable. They've had to do a lot of chasing today.
Yeah, once again, it was that man Tamarua that made the break up the middle. Had plenty of players in support, and then Yorka opted for that little kick and almost came off, or it would have been the try of the game for sure. Great little ball there.
68 points to 6. Here's a break, looking for the kick. Couldn't quite get to it. Jordan Grace is tagged in the middle, and it's Somia who'll wrap him up here. 40 out from the try line, right in front of the posts though. And down the left-hand side, they're done for numbers and looking for a check over the top. It was always easily read and accounted for at the back there by Yorka. Nadisam is tackled just outside his own 10-metre line. Ledger into the mix, and that'll be Potu. They've had a potent combination, Ledger and Potu, and now a beautiful pass to Francis Ledger. The chase is on. He's one of the older guys in the track too, the captain, and he's wrestled to ground, much to the delight of the crowd who have gathered here. It's in front of Bramley, who showed great commitment, and he has done all through the game in a team that has been outclassed here, but right at the back end, also showing that footballers are footballers, and if there's a chance to make a tackle, they will. Good effort from the number 12. Samia back on the inside. Here he is with the ball in hand, but the referee says that it's gone forward. Yeah. That's Lewis down the edge. The delivery of the football was also pretty skillful. Well, there we go. Not a heck of a lot in it, but enough for the referee to pull it back. Matthew White delivering up to Samia down the left side. Well, 4.5 to go here. And I know you're doing the post-match interviews too there, Whitey. I'm assuming we are. Post-match interviews, so we might let you go and get yourself set. It's quite a run down there.
Yeah, actually, that's a little bit fun.
But we will be having a break. How long does it take you to get down 5 stories?
I mean, I've been to FMG Stadium before and had a few beers, and I've rolled down the stairs. It doesn't take me too long.
It's 25 out from the line. Well, fair description. 35 from the line. Just been outclassed. Tries in the second half. They've come, as we mentioned, to Vasavalangi, to Potu, Maipi, Inu. A couple, in fact, to the talented right wing. But I've already said Tamaroa, they're just toying really with the Waikato defenders here. They're absolutely out on their feet. And it's not through a lack of trying, they just didn't know where to look, as this barrage of attack and thick and fast and constant. You know, some fine athleticism on show. Here's the kick back on the inside. The bounce just eluding the fullback Ioka. It was from his brother Tukodie. A nice combination. And now one out on the far side of the field. Hasn't had too many opportunities. Mahu Tangataki Matthews. As we get a look in here at Marin Haggie. He'll take this all in his stride too, your mate Marin. He's been around a long time, and he knows that playing against Auckland teams is always tough for the Waikato boys.
Yes, indeed. Don't be surprised if he pulls on his boots next week.
Down the right hand edge here. Here he comes again, Bramley. He's done some good things here this afternoon, Bramley. Not much of a chance there. Just lumbering through the middle with 2 to play. Downstairs of the defensive effort there, Solomon Basualangi. He scored a hat-trick of tries Normally a back rower. Today, not so. Portman Paul with the ball that time around and looking to maybe get something out of nothing. Taylor Martin has tried hard to, and he got in there, and Kenarangi disappointing once again, as we remind you of Cortex Tolu. We haven't had any feedback as yet on what that injury might have been. We were hoping it wasn't an ankle, torn Achilles, I should say. 68 points to 6.
Yeah, just looking for the trick play there. Rick Sullivan back on the inside of a little banana kick from Manya Rangi.
Scrum feed here for Grace and breaking to the right of the crowd. I'd love it if they're able to pop and get a try. Then it goes back to Sullivan. And really that illustrates the difficulties that they have encountered throughout the course of the day. As mentioned, at times the architects of their own demise, as we see a break here for Somia. He bullies his way downfield. Could be an unkind description, but suffice to say that they've sort of had their way today with the Waikato defenders as the chase is on out wide, and there's a foot into touch. I also remind you too that the clock that you're seeing on the inside of your screen not necessarily in sync with the official clock. That's used more as a guide for you at home. As we see Somia, geez, had a good season, Lewis. And always thinking as well, the Yoka boys, and just sliding into touch at the back. So Tamarua, outstanding effort right through the entire 80 minutes as we see the hooter. Disappointed to concede right at the back end, but that's exactly what's going to happen. In fact, the flag is up on the far side, so the referee will pull the curtain down on proceedings here. And many, I guess, from Waikato will say, thank goodness for that. But it has been a learning curve, and Akarana have been on song. Too good here in round 2 of the National Men's Premiership from FMG Stadium in Waikato. 68-6, the scoreline as we go to a break. You're watching Sky Sport.